Goeiedag, hoe gaan dit? My name is Wildkard. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here and watching my content. As always, it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to be watching the greatest sport in the world. And the mighty All Blacks has just been defeated by the reigning, defending, the undisputed world champions, the South African Springboks at Twickenham. I mean, my goodness, I couldn't believe what I saw today, okay? If you ever wonder what it's like to watch the Hindenburg catch on fire and plummet from the air to the ground, if you ever wondered what it's like watching the Titanic crashing into the iceberg and sink right in front of your eyes, you watched what is possibly the biggest disaster in rugby's sporting history tonight. The All Blacks has pretty much written themselves off from winning the Rugby World Cup this year. They have suffered massive injury in the tight head proposition in Tyrell Lomax, which led to massive scrummaging issues against the Springboks and line-out issues. And then Scotty Barrett getting that red card, potentially seeing 4 to 6 week ban, which potentially writing him out of the quarterfinals, which might be against, again, the Springboks, it's unbelievable. And this all pretty much happened in 40 minutes. The All Blacks lost the Rugby World Cup in 40 minutes of a warm-up match before the Rugby World Cup. I could not believe what I was witnessing. This is history, guys. This is one of the most insane game of rugby I have ever seen, ever. And to be really honest with you, the Springboks was so unbelievably good. I could not believe that this is the Springboks that played like a couple of weeks ago. Like, the level of dominance from the set piece, from the scrummaging, from the goal kicking, from man in the box, everything the Springboks did was just next level compared to the All Blacks. And not to mention that rush defense. We saw the Springbok rush defense effectively against Argentina, but against the All Blacks, it's just, I was speechless watching this game. It's so impressive, and there's absolutely no doubt that the Springboks is right on track to the Wet Willers Cup to defend their championship. There were question marks about the goal kicking. Man in the box landed 100% of the goals tonight, and the touch finder from man in the box, he was able to kick the ball out from the 50-meter mark into the 5-meter line multiple times in this game. The accuracy is insane. I could not believe, like, you do it once, okay? You know, sometimes it happens. He did it again and again, multiple times. It's just unbelievable. And the goal kicking from man in the box, just beautiful to watch. You don't even have to watch it to know that the ball has gone through. Just by the sound, that the way he hits the ball on that sweet spot, and it makes that big boom, pop sound. And you know it's so crisp that the ball's going to go through. That was not the case last time they played, the Springboks played. He has done so much work off the field to get his kicking to this level. Is like, I could not believe it. He deserved a round of applause, man in the box. He salvaged the biggest weakness that the Springboks have. The biggest criticism for the Springboks going to the Rugby World Cup is the lack of a reliable goal kicker. He has completely shut out all those critics and proved that he can do it for the country. He can do it for the Springboks. He can do it for South Africa. It is just next level. And you kind of left wondering, right? Did the All Blacks take too much time off? Because the Springboks, after the Rugby Championship, have played 3 games leading up to this one. Whereas the All Blacks played 1 game against the Wallabies, which was almost like, a month ago now? Like, over a month now? Where they haven't played any rugby leading into this match. Is that, like, you can clearly see the rust. The players didn't really know what they were supposed to be doing. What were you doing for the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks? I don't know. Because the attack didn't look like anybody know what they wanted to do. The kicking game was so off, right? The wingers was not getting space created for them. The set piece, I don't know what the forwards were doing at all. The set piece was getting absolutely dominant. The scrummaging was so one-sided in the first half already. And then Tyrell Lomax comes off second half when the Springboks brought on their, shorter props in Ox Unche, Trevor Nyakani, and then Bungi Nbunabi being literally 10 to 20 centimeters shorter than, Tamati Williams. The Springboks just completely ran away with the scrummaging in the second half as well. Okay? Just the low body height just completely dominated the much taller All Black scrum, more like props, right? The lineouts, again, what's going on? The Springboks was able to spoil the All Blacks lineout like it was against amateurs. How many John Klein and Aki Snyman just taking the ball like taking candy from a little kid. It was insane. How many scrums, how many lineouts that the Springboks were able to spoil as well. I don't know what the All Blacks has been doing. This is by far the worst All Blacks performance I have ever seen. And they had some pretty big shockers last year. Okay? I mean, I could not believe it. So the Springboks, probably, in my opinion, revealed a little bit too much in the lineout options. They did one of these moves where they had a couple of dummy mauls, where one of the mauls where Sia Khaleesi ran into the blind side. They set up dummy maul in the a long ball dummy maul, and Sia Khaleesi ran the blind side and passed the ball to Malcolm Marx, who went into the corner for a try. That I don't think I've seen that from the Springboks for a very, very long time. So that's clearly something that they've been working on. After getting the opposition used to committing to the maul, they kind of just change it up to fake the maul and then shift the ball out. That immediately worked and turned into a try. And I feel like that is something that they've been working on for a while, and they haven't revealed it, and they should have kept it in the bottle for this and not have revealed it this game. And you revealed it in the Rugby World Cup. So I did think that maybe the Springboks revealed a little bit too much here, to be honest. But with that being said, everything was perfect. The Springboks was not only the better defensive team, was able to push the All Blacks consistently, but the Springboks was the better attacking team. Believe it or not, the Springboks has better counter-attack than the All Blacks. It was incredible. Having Kanan Moody out wide, he just made us look so easy. Extra speed like Kanan Moody in the number 13. Just extra winger there. Makes so much more speed in the Springboks attack line. With also Andre Esterhuizen, those hard crash borders in the field, way more dominant than Damien Dilendi. Really, really, really incredible work by the Springboks in that regards as well. Just completely dominating the All Blacks at their own game in the attack, in the counter attack and the attack, and the so-called so-called attacking rugby style, the boarding hand style was completely dominant in every regard. And obviously, Faf de Klerk did have to throw out some of those stupid kicks, but overall, the Faf de Klerk's kicking I thought was pretty good. But he did rush a couple of kicks very close to the All Blacks 22. I thought was probably unnecessary. But overall, the Faf de Klerk decision was crisp, and outside of the couple of bad, high kicks into the 22, I thought the Faf de Klerk's kicking game was much better than before as well. So with the All Blacks, like I said, I don't know what else to say. Losing Tyrell Lomax in a freak accident, dislocating his knee. The 2 yellow cards due to repeated penalties. The discipline was unbelievable for the All Blacks. There were just so many discipline issues. The referee issued 2 yellow cards in about 50 minutes into the game. And then after the yellow card came back, Scotty Barrett was one of the recipients. He received another yellow card for a high shot and immediately goes for a red. So he might still get suspended for that red card as well. For the high shot, they will probably go to judiciary for that. But yeah, Scotty Barrett's Rugby World Cup is looking pretty scary. And then we've got the one thing that is worse than the All Blacks performance, believe it or not, is the referee performance, okay? Both the TMO and the referee were atrocious. there were so many blatantly obvious errors, and they both completely wrong. The TMO especially. There was one call. I just want to mention this one call. That there was one try scored by Kane and Moody. So the ball, he was in the ruck. The ball pops out of ruck. He goes up, kicks the ball through, scoops it up, runs down like 70 meters. Really well done stepping. He stepped Odin Barrett and then stepped Richie Muonga and then scores a try, right? Kane and Moody. And the referee goes back and watches a review. And the TMO says that Kane and Moody was not in the ruck. Therefore, he was in the offside position when the ball rolled out of the ruck. And then he was offside to score the try. But the video clearly showing him with one hand in the ruck, like holding to the player onto the ruck when the ball popped out. And the TMO said he was detached from the ruck. It was so bad. Like, this was just one of so many mistakes that the referees made. I was just like at one point, I was literally thinking that I'm watching a delay. Like, something had happened, that there's a delay in the broadcast that I'm not seeing. Like, honestly, I was baffled by so many mistakes by the referee. I genuinely didn't think that they were watching the same game as me. Like, are they from a different dimension? Are they watching the game? Is it like, it's Matthew Carley with the Infinity Stone with him? Like, is he Thanos? Like, he's watching the game from a different dimension? I don't know what's going on, because I wasn't watching the same game as he, for sure. So, yeah, I can't wait for some other better channels to come out with a referee review, but that was really, really, really horrendous. So, yeah, let's have a look at some of these match stats. So, 5 tries to 1 for the Springboks, 554 run meters for the Springboks, 474 for the All Blacks. At halftime, Springboks were leading run meters 257 to 209. There was 16 turnovers against the Springboks, 15 against the All Blacks. So that's pretty high for both teams. Tackle count, 158 for the Springboks, 94 for the All Blacks. Is that correct? Surely that's the other way around. I feel like that's clearly wrong. No way Springboks made more tackles than the All Blacks in this game. Surely that can't be right. Anyway, apparently Springboks made 158 tackles and had 40 missed tackles. Surely that can't be right. I'm not sure if this stat's correct. So 94 tackles for the All Blacks and 19 missed tackles. You figure that the All Blacks will win the game with this sort of game stats, right? And the Springboks surely would have conceded more tries than one with 14 missed tackles. But apparently that's the count. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. There's no way. That makes no way sense. Anyway, kicks in play. Like I said, Springboks dominated the kick again. The All Blacks didn't know what they were doing. They were so stupid at times with the All Blacks, right? Like, instead of just, exiting their own 22, the All Blacks keeps trying to run the ball out of their own 22. Again and again and again. And then because of the rush defense by the Springboks, the All Blacks gets pushed back even further into their own 22. And then they're like, okay, let's rush a kick, guys. Because if we don't, we're going to end up in a try in an end zone. So they try to rush a kick. And then this is how bad the All Blacks was. Instead of just kicking the ball out down the field, Beauden Barrett decides to do a crossfield kick 5 meters out from inside his own 22, and it goes straight out. I genuinely couldn't believe that was the decision that Beauden Barrett made. When you get pushed back into your own 22, deep into your own 22, desperately trying to find an exit, he does a crossfield kick and goes straight out. Anyway, like I said, conversions, 5 out of 5 for man in the block. A number of these kicks were from the sideline. And this, again, the penalty goal. Richie Muonga missed the penalty goal right in front. He got jinxed by his own commentary in the Bernathlon Cup, okay? If you play golf, you will know this, that the best way to get a golfer to miss their shot is ask the golfer how you are, what's going through your head when you're making those beautiful shots. That is like sports psychology 101. If you wanted to put someone off on the golf games, you ask them, how are they making these shots so good? Ask them to describe it to you. And they will sure miss the shots because the subconscious will stop function, and then your brain starts to overthink about the shots, and then you start to miss. And Richie Mo'unga was asked this question in the Bloodless World Cup match after he kicked the winning goal, after the match. And the commentary was so stupid to ask him this question. What were you thinking when you landed that winning goal? And Richie Mo'unga went through this whole story about how he visualizes it before the match. And I thought to myself, well, you try to jinx him, and sure enough, he gets jinxed. Misses the goal right in front. In fact, I remember this because I thought surely this might not, this can't possibly happen, and it happens, right? I know for a fact that the commentators ask him that question because they think it's a joke, and they could potentially jinx him as a joke. Okay, you did it really well there, mate. Really well done. Nice joke. You think that sports psychology doesn't apply to Richie Mo'unga. Anyway, lineouts so bad for the All Blacks. 10 lineouts, 5 lost. Stolen again and again and again. And the Springboks had 2 lineout loss due to overthrow. Scrum. I'm surprised they only lost 1 scrum. The scrum was overwhelmingly dominant for the Springboks so many times that the All Blacks got pancaked or pushed back, and the referee just didn't give the penalty. Matthew Carley got sick of blowing his whistle or some reason, especially in the second half. I don't know what they were watching. He's watching out a different dimension or something. Clearly, the All Blacks goes to the ground, pancakes, flattens to the ground on the tight head side. The referee just goes, play on, get the ball out. So bad. Penalties conceded for the All Blacks, 14, 11 against the Springboks. There was 1 yellow card against the Springboks. Oh yeah, Pieter-Sepp du Toit had a yellow card for putting a shoulder in. Again, it's really funny when Pieter-Sepp du Toit got this yellow card. I thought the TMO was reviewing Jordie Barrett. If you go back and watch the replay, Jordie Barrett went into clean out and smacks Pieter-Sepp du Toit on the head with his shoulder, or with his arm or shoulder. And I thought they're reviewing Jordie Barrett. And then they go back and didn't show the angle with Jordie Barrett. They cut off the replay just before Jordie Barrett made the connection to his head. So then they showed that Pieter-Sepp du Toit gets the shot on for the yellow card. And also, Scotty Barrett did the stupidest red card I've ever seen, okay? He gets himself sent off for a yellow, and he comes back onto the field, right? Who was it? I think it was Malcolm Marx was laying on the ground, sideways. And Malcolm Marx was on the ground. He's out of play. Anything he does could result in a penalty to the All Blacks, right? For some stupid, god-awful reason, Scotty Barrett thought he needs to clean him out. And he dives straight onto Malcolm Marx, smack him dead on in the head with a shoulder when Malcolm Marx was literally on the ground, unable to participate in anything. And Scotty Barrett thought, yeah, let's clean this guy out. And he gets sent off for a red card. I genuinely didn't know what I was watching. It was so bad. I couldn't believe how bad that was. If it was an actual clean out like Pieter-Sepp du Toit, I can understand because, things happen very quickly. You mistime your clean out, hit someone in the head. It was completely unnecessary. It literally looked like Scotty Barrett wanted to take a shot at Malcolm Marx on the ground for free, and he just dove into him. Got himself sent off. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's go through some of the key plays of the game, because the referee was so bad. I'm not going to go through everything of the referee, but I'm just going to talk about some of the absurdities of the referees for both teams. It was like he was giving out penalties left and right, and then just stops giving out penalties at all because he got sick of blowing the whistles, right? It was just really, really horrendous. So right from the get-go, Frans Malherbe was destroying Ethan de Groot in the scrummaging. And Ethan de Groot, credit to him, adjusted his... So Malherbe was basically pushing in onto the hooker. They did this in the last match against Wales, where both the props jams in from 2 sides and tries to pop the hooker out. And they did really well. Really well against Wales, but they did get called for a for boring in. Stephen Kissel did get penalized for boring in, so he had to stop. But Malherbe was able to get under the hooker, and De Groot has done really well to adjust. He was struggling in the beginning, and then he really like adjusted his spine, got himself a lot tighter on the hooker position, and was able to keep Malherbe out. But still, he was under a lot of pressure by Malherbe. And then so then the All Blacks was conceding a lot of penalties. Referee gives a warning. More penalties to the scrum. Gives another warning saying any penalties, someone's going off. And then Scotty Barrett gets caught either breakdown, yellow card. Okay, so that was just team penalty. And then immediately, Sam Kang collapses them all with Scotty Barrett just given a yellow card. Referee has no options, another yellow card. And I'm pretty sure there was another yellow card that could have been given where a few plays later from this, and it was Ethan de Groot on the ground, on the wrong side of the ruck. Not only that, he was blocking the ball, but he got up and like literally like moved the ball with his body whilst getting up. Like he was just literally like shuffling the ball around with his body. And that should have been a yellow card. Like you're not allowed to like clearly playing the ball while you're on the ground in the opposition, like opposite position. That should have been a yellow card. So, but the referee let that go for some reason. So yeah, 2 yellow cards early. Actually could have been 3 in my opinion. With the players in the bin, the Springboks just piling in pressure. But the All Blacks actually did really well to hold off the Springboks early. And it took 18 minutes for the Springboks to finally get over the try line. And there was no one else deserving this try than Sia Khaleesi. He carried the ball again and again and again. He got very close one time, and then a few phases later, he gets the ball again, crashes through the center field, right under the goal post. It looked like he was getting flipped over, and then he just quickly grounded the ball before he was held up. So really well done. 7 points to nil to the Springboks. 18 minutes into the game. 20 minutes into the game, Muwanga misses the goal kick right in front, hits the goal post. I haven't seen something this bad ever from Richie Muwanga. So that was just unbelievable. 33 minutes into the game. Again, the All Blacks barely got into the South African half for the entire first half. The South Africans was able to kick the All Blacks in their half for just constantly. The All Blacks was not able to exit. Every time they did get the ball, they tried to run the ball out of their own 22, and then, it gets turned over, drop ball, right? It was really, really just unbelievable about it. Horrendous. So 33 minutes into the game, Jordie Barrett, again, trying to run the ball out of their own 22, makes a half break, finally. He fancies an offload. Curdy Allensa reads this perfectly, intercepts the offload, runs 20 meters down the other end, scores a try for the South Africans, 14 points to nil. 33 minutes in the game. After overwhelming dominance, you can't, and especially with 2 yellow cards, you kind of was expecting the Springboks to put more points on. So yeah, this Allensa try was really just like a gift in a basket for the South Africans to just like reward them for the overwhelming dominance that they've had for the first half, right? 42 minutes into the game, basically in the extra time in the first half, finally the All Blacks is getting opportunity inside the South African half for the first time of the game, basically. Like, and then guess what? All the All Blacks did was crash ball, crash ball, crash ball, crash ball. 2 passes, crash ball, come back again, crash ball. Literally the same move again and again and again. But luckily, they do get a penalty advantage. And finally, they decide to play some rugby. Start spreading the ball out wide, starting to shift the ball around, looking really good. And then finally, with quick ball to Will Jordan, he looked like he scores a try into a gap and scores a try. TMO reviews are not caught leading to the try. No try. And the All Blacks goes back for a penalty. They go for the line out. Gets stolen. They really wanted this try before halftime. Line out gets stolen. I have never seen it this bad in my whole freaking life. Second half, again, from the kick, the second half, 3 minutes in the second half, the All Blacks was inside their own 22. The rush defense was really good for the Springboks. And for some reason, again, the All Blacks, instead of just clearing the ball out whilst you're just inside your 22, they try to run the ball. And then the rush defense from the Springboks is so good, they're just getting pushed back. And they ended up 5 meters in front of their own try line. From the 22 line, they lost 20 meters. And then instead of kicking the ball out, Beauden Barrett gets the ball. He tries to a crossfield kick. And the ball goes straight out. And the Springboks gets a line out 10 meters from the New Zealand try line. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, honestly. And then obviously they go for the line out, go for the maul. And this is something where I think the Springboks probably didn't need to do that. They reviewed a move here that I think they should just kept it, hidden for the World Cup. But they faked the maul. The entire All Blacks forwards overcommits to the maul. And then they just pop. Sia Khaleesi just runs out to the blind side. Aaron Smith is the only one there. He draws Aaron Smith, passes the ball to Malcolm Marks, runs down the sideline, try. Amateur error from the All Blacks, 21 points to nil. The man in the box kicks this one right from the sideline, which was really impressive. 45 minutes into the game, a few minutes later, this is where the TMO blatantly was making a mistake. There was a ruck. Caden Moody had his hand on the jersey on one of his players. He was in the ruck, right? That's my understanding. You have your hand on someone, you're in the ruck. The ball pops out. Caden Moody kicks the ball down the field. He picks up the ball. Beauden Barrett was playing touch rugby, I think he was. He runs up. Caden Moody just steps him. He tries to touch him. And it was like, touch, ref, touched. He completely misses the tackle. And then Richie Mo'unga comes up and goes, yeah, I'll go you, Beauden. Tries to tackle Moody. Boom, Moody steps him as well. And then Richie Mo'unga falls over and starts yelling, touched, ref, touched. And then Moody goes in for the try. And the TMO tries to save the All Blacks from the embarrassment, reviewed the footage and said, yes, Caden Moody was not part of the ruck, despite having one of his hand on his teammate's jersey the whole time, offside. Yeah, let me know if that's the correct decision. I'm pretty sure he was in the ruck with a hand on his teammate. But hey, he said he was offside, not part of the ruck, and no try. So that was saved Beauden Barrett and Richie Mo'unga from the embarrassing touch football that they were playing. After this try was scored, Peter Dutoit gets yellow carded. I thought it was Jordie Barrett getting reviewed, but hey, whatever. 56 minutes, Faf de Klerk did one of his classic kicking the ball away straight into the 22 and then rolls dead, right? That's very classic Faf. But yeah, despite that, everything else was much better for the Faf de Klerk in terms of his decision making. 58 minutes into the game, clearly, again, the scrummaging, I already mentioned this in the preview, the reserve South African props are 175 to 178 centimeters. They are much shorter than Tamati Williams, who's like 195, okay? Almost 20 centimeters shorter, given the huge height advantage in scrummaging. And the New Zealand scrum was pancaking, was getting pushed back, and the referee was just sick of blowing his whistle, I guess. I saw for sure there was a penalty here. A number of penalties that went begging for the scrum for the Springboks. 59 minutes into the game, again, this was a beautiful touch finder for Manny Labok. He was 50 meters out. He kicks the ball into the 5-meter box, and then the Springboks gets a 5-meter line out. They go for the more beautiful setup. Try time for the Springboks. 28 points to nil. 66 minutes into the game, again, Manny Labok gets a penalty on the 50-meter mark. He kicks the ball out 5 meters from the try line. Again, you can see that the first one was luck. There's absolutely no luck. He's just pinpoint accurate, 5 meters out. The ball goes long, sets up a fake maul once again. The All Blacks overcommit. They pop the ball out to Albertus Smith, who crashes into the 10 channel in straight over to the try. Unbelievable. 35 points to nil with 15 minutes left. The All Blacks looking for something. They're getting pushed back in their defense. 71 minutes in the game. Finally, Cameron Roygaard, the reserve halfback, was sick of watching his own teammates getting pushed back. He sees a little gap in front of him, takes the ball, runs through the defense. Caden Moody overcommitted on the defense here. He gets stepped by Roy. He probably expected Roygaard to pass the ball. So he didn't expect Rugby to run himself. So he gets beaten right away near the ruck. Rugby runs down the field. And then it was Damien Valemsa trying to tackle him. Rugby pumps him off. And then Manny the Block tried to grab him and shrugs him off as well, which was really well done. He goes in for the only try for the All Blacks, 71 minutes into the game. The All Blacks was trying really hard to try to get more tries on the board. 73 minutes into the game, they try to throw a quick line out. Ahi Snyman just goes, thanks very much, steals the ball. 74 minutes into the game, another line out for the All Blacks inside the All Blacks 22 gets stolen again by Snyman. It was so bad. So bad. I could not believe this was the All Blacks on the field. And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the match. The New Zealanders have one last hurrah just in front of the try line. Piling in. Gets turned over. Knock on. Game over. So bad. The performances aside, the poor performances aside, the fact that the All Blacks lost Tyrell Lomax, the best tight head props by a nautic mile, is it's so bad for the All Blacks. And Scotty Barrett's gonna get banned for a few for like 4 matches at least, I think. That's so bad for the All Blacks. Scotty Barrett is huge for the All Blacks defense, huge for the All Blacks set piece. Yeah, we have winners history, guys. The Titanic is sinking. The All Blacks has pretty much written themselves off from the Rugby World Cup, chance of winning Rugby World Cup, in my opinion. And I think Ethan de Groot also has a bit of a knee injury as well. Looks like he's heavily strapped halfway through the game. So we'll have to see how that goes. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Really do appreciate you watching the game. It's always a pleasure and privilege for me to watch these games and review it for you. And I'm happy. Hopefully you enjoy your weekend. Cheers.